Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. It's David McNiner and Bryant Culp on another Monday night evening show. We have a special guest for you, and if you haven't met him, let me introduce you. This is Jay in the Bay.
What's good? Hey, thanks for having me on tonight on the Culp and McNiner show. Appreciate you guys having me on. We've talked before in the past, but I appreciate you guys bringing me on to your show, and I'm happy to be here and talk about the San Francisco 49ers, man. Let's go.
Wonderful. Thank you again for coming. I had a lot of fun one time. I've once or twice called into your show, and
Yeah,
you just got really good vibes. And you've been doing this for a while. And anytime anybody says Jay in the Bay, you hear that. What's good? So it's awesome. So I'm going to shoot it down to David. David probably has a good question to start out the show with, and I'm going to sit here and play with the chat for a little bit.
okay.
So my original question, what are your thoughts on what Trey Lance is doing right now? Working with Patrick Mahomes and his QB coach Christensen,
I,
and trying to fix everything wrong with him.
I think it's great. I think Trey Lance, all he can do is really work on his craft. We know that he hasn't, had the games experience that we would all like. But the only thing he can do is really work on his craft. And who better to work with than a two-time Super Bowl winner in Pat Mahomes? I hear he's also going to be throwing at the tight end U camp with George Kittle. I think Josh Allen and Trey Lance will be the two quarterbacks there. So I think it's great. He's been spotted at some A's games, some Giants games in the Bay Area, and all he can do work on his craft, and it's good to see.
I think the quarterback situation, how they switched from the guy who was rolling the ball at the quarterbacks to the guy they got now, is a big improvement. I like Bob Greasy, and I think maybe he can't teach you everything, so that's nice that we've seen like Trey Lance be able to branch out and go somewhere else. Who's getting to work with Patrick Mahomes and his guy as well. I'm not great with names, so forgive me. But Patrick Mahomes, I guess he's been able to throw the ball around him a little bit, and there's been multiple things that's come out that's been reported saying Trey Lance processes things a certain way, but like it seems like he's a visual guy and he can see it and then he can go and do it. So at least that's one report. And hey, if you guys stand there and watch the guy next to you throw the ball with spiral and throw it the way he does, and you can do it right after that, hey, to each his own, right? They say you learn 7 different ways. So, hey, we're all learning something every day. Then we're doing good, right?
No,
If you look,
absolutely.
you can find it. So, all right. So, Jay, what is your thoughts on the upcoming season? I'm assuming you have, and what happens when you assume, but I'm pretty confident that you went ahead and checked out the 49er schedule and who we're traveling and who we're playing and our holidays and our what do you want to call it? The bright light games, the
Right.
the
Prime time.
prime
Yeah.
time.
Hey, I'm excited for the season. We played the AFC North this year. We play the NFC East. So I'm excited for those games. I'm excited that the 49ers do not have to travel internationally. We still are second in, I think, air miles among all 32 NFL teams, basically because we're on the West Coast. Obviously, we have to travel cross country several times, but I'm excited for the season. We've got, I think we have a Christmas game against the Baltimore Ravens. So, hey, my kids will be happy in the morning. I'm going to be happy at night. So, what could be better going up against, Lamar Jackson? We've got, I think our home opener is on a Thursday night football. I don't remember the last time we've ever, I'm going to go out on a limb and say we've never opened up the season at home on a Thursday night. So, it's kind of weird going up against the New York Giants. They're a good football team. They made the playoffs last year. They've got a lot of talent on both sides of the ball, so that should be an exciting game. Our bye week, man. I mean, we have to thank the NFL for giving us a bye week basically at the middle point of the regular season. You couldn't really ask for anything better than that, so I'm happy about that. And I think the toughest team in our division obviously is going to be the Seattle Seahawks. They always play us tough. I was surprised they brought Geno back. They signed him to, a contract extension. But I think the Seahawks have done a really good job within like the last 2 years of drafting. It seemed like after the Legion of Boom kind of died down, they had struggled with drafting guys. But the last 2 years, they've added a lot of young talent. So, they're not a team that we can sleep on. And I think we play them, week 12 and then week 14. So kind of weird that we only play them a week apart from each other. But, it is what it is. Dallas Cowboys, I think that's going to be a Sunday night game. So that's always going to be exciting going up against the Cowboys week 5. And there's a lot of great games on the schedule. I can't wait for the season to start. I think this will be another successful season for the 49ers and the fact that we will go to the playoffs. And I think we'll have easily double-digit wins, going into the playoffs, I think.
All right. So have you heard the term yet? It's been out there. I didn't coin it. I want to give the credit to Brad, SF Niners, the sourdough squad. We're going bird hunting.
On bird hunting. I haven't heard that term in regards to the Niners, and I'm assuming the Seahawks, but I like it. I can get down with that.
Well, if you glance at the schedule the next time, I don't have the schedule in front of me, but we start out, I think, against the Seahawks, and then we just keep going. Or David, maybe but we start.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Birds.
It's like the Seahawks, the Eagles, the Seahawks, and then I think the Cardinals and the Ravens.
And the Ravens. Wow. Yeah, you're right. I like that term.
Yeah.
I like that. That's cool.
It's a lot of fun. It's like it could happen, because you just said it. The Seahawks always play us tough. We have to go play them on Turkey Day. Oh, my gosh. I don't want that to be our Super Bowl, but I definitely would like to see the Niners eat turkey on their field. I'd love to see that. But then, like you said, your kids will be happy. My kids will be happy, Christmas Day. But we play the Ravens, and that's another bird team that I just don't. I will never, ever get over losing to them. And not maybe after we beat them in a Super Bowl, but after that, I still think, man, we could have won twice against them now. So no, the Ravens are like one of those teams I do not like at all. I hate playing them. I hate hearing about them. I got friends that are Ravens, but I don't like the Ravens. I don't like Ray Lewis. I don't like the only person in Ray Lewis. I like Harbaugh and I like Juice. That was the two good things I think we got from. But I'm not. It's just one of those things. I just kind of, I don't know. That wound is just a little too deep, we were that close to winning that Super Bowl. So I know everybody's upset about the Chiefs, but I'm still mad about the Ravens. David, what got a question for Jay here, or do you want to elaborate?
Well, the NFL has implemented a new rule. So now, if the injured quarterback that you took out of the game has to go back into the game. If you go through 3 quarterbacks in one game and you have to put one back in, now the other 2 aren't inactive anymore or are ineligible to go back in. A lot of people are calling this the Brock Purdy rule. So what do you think about that? I mean, we did go through 4 QBs last year,
Yeah. I think it's a great rule that every team should be able to benefit from. It doesn't hurt the NFL at all, and I know the NFL does not want primetime games when you have a 4th-string quarterback in. I mean, it's basically unwatchable unless you're betting on the game or unless your team is playing. So, and I think so the NFL will now allow teams to dress a 3rd quarterback without taking up an active roster spot. So that's pretty cool. So essentially, you can have, 4 quarterbacks and one doesn't take up a roster spot. I think it's great. It's great for the league. I think we should have more players on the active roster, honestly, especially since there are now 17 regular season games out of 18 weeks. I don't understand why there's still only 53 active guys and then 46 dressed for game day. Why not increase those numbers? I don't see why that wouldn't benefit every team. Maybe it's the money issue, but hey, this is $1 billion business. They can afford it. And I also want to just say, what's good to everyone that's in the chat, watching the show today or tonight. And just feel free to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already to Brian Culp's channel. So appreciate the support.
Not just to Bryant, but David McNiner. He's got a channel. We're going to be doing some videos there soon.
Sweet.
This show might go back and forth from Bryant's on Monday to David on the next week. Or we might just do something different altogether. Maybe we'll pull out a Thursday show or something, or, a midday Saturday show. Me and David will be in talk about that. But please like and subscribe. And if you don't know about Jay in the Bay, he's a good content creator. He's been doing it almost as long as anyone else I can think about. He's one of the tops, and he's very humble, and we're really appreciative of having him on the show tonight. So, David, with the question, oh man, I'm so thank you. I can't tell you how many. And again, if there's anything we can do for you, I know I'm saying we because I know David would love to return the favor as well. I don't like speaking for other people, but sometimes when you know. So
yeah.
But what David was saying about the Brock Purdy new rule, the injury you had said and expanded on, I agree. If you have like a 53-man roster and only like 47 people are able to dress, that don't really make any sense, does it? Like, why do you have those extra guys if they're not like what they're going to be standing in the the Dina's windbreakers? Like, no, we got other people that can do that, So I also think like it was really interesting because me and Tony had kind of researched it a little bit, and there's been an established rule out there in the past that they took away. It was back in like 1991, and it went up to like 2010, and they took the rule away. And I don't know why they took the rule away, but you are allowed to have 3 quarterbacks on the team. You're allowed to have 3 of them dressed on the field, and it didn't take a spot away from you. They didn't do that. So now they've changed some of the wordage in this rule, and they've reintroduced it, because of Brock Purdy, but they reintroduced it and said, oh, well, now if your first quarterback or your second quarterback's hurt, then you have your third quarterback and he doesn't count against your roster. Well, that's fine. But the rule originally read is if you have a first string quarterback and he's doing really bad, and this is from 91 to 2010, and you pull him from the game and you pull your second string quarterback from the game, and then you put your third string quarterback in, you cannot go back to your first or second string quarterback during that game.
Yep.
But then they changed it a little bit, and now with the wording and stuff, now if you have a suspended quarterback or if you have a injury, then the third quarterback can come in and play. But I like what you had said originally, and David as well. Why can't we have like a 90-man roster? Okay, maybe you didn't say 90, but why can't we have a larger roster where we have these guys dressed? I remember playing high school football, and everybody was dressed. The only guys who weren't dressed were the guys hurt, and they still had their jersey on. So I don't know. I think, the league does have room to either expand the roster, expand games, go to 20. I think someone said that today. Maybe put 2 bye weeks out there. And, if you have 90 guys on the team, then we should probably have 5 or 6 quarterbacks. I'm just saying. Like, I think another good point, there's like 12 pitchers in baseball on most teams. So, I mean, I just don't understand, why.
I think it just comes down to money. And I think Tony had a good answer. Tony says that they abolished the rule because they increased the number of active players on the roster to 46, but there's an extra game, so why wouldn't you allow more players to be active? Like maybe do 57, 58 active players and then have at least 50 dressed for game day or however they want to do it. But that's something that they'll have to address in the CBA the next time they're negotiating for a new contract. More active players. And maybe, I don't know, but I don't know if the players would really want that. Obviously, the players want a bigger piece of the pie as far as money and all that stuff. So that may not be a priority for them. But, we'll see.
That's a very good point.
51 players currently count against the salary cap, your top 51.
Right.
So those other guys aren't even going to count against the cap,
Right.
And what's wrong with paying players, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I would 100% like to see 57, 58 guys on the roster and dressing 50 to 52.
Yeah.
I would 100% like to see, especially with a 17-game season. And I've heard some noise about 18. It's like, look, football's a violent sport. Like Matthew Stafford last year. Apparently he got hurt by Drake Jackson against the 49ers.
Mm.
Apparently. Now, this is what his wife said on Twitter. And so it's just like, my first reaction to that is football's a violent sport. He signed the contract.
Right.
It's not like Drake was trying to do that.
Right.
It's a violent sport. It's the nature of the business.
Matt won't be returning any of that money anytime soon to the Rams.
No, he won't.
He's collecting those checks. That's for sure.
I'm not the biggest hockey guy. I like the Sharks. I'm close to the Bay Area. I'm Stockton, California guy. But how many games? I don't know if either one of you guys know, but how many games do hockey play? Don't they play like a ridiculous amount? So I mean, like hockey's really violent too.
Ooh.
But
I'm actually not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I could look it up real quick. Let's see.
Hockey's a very fast-paced sport too. I mean, you have to be quick on those skates. I used to skate and I wasn't near fast enough.
Looks like they play 82 games.
Yeah,
82 regular season games.
So I mean, like there's a will, there's a way, and I know they don't get paid as much as like NFL players, but like you said, Jay, I think you brought up a good point that I like unions too, but the players' union is probably one of the big reasons why we don't have more players on the roster right now, and more games at this point. Because I think they could do it, and I think they're going to be pushing for it with all the different streaming services, the different platforms for television. And a lot of people's brought up like stuff like this as what we're doing. There might be potentially where we're going to be actually able to talk during the game and actually have it underneath our, on our screen while we're talking, and people might have to pay for that to be able to, show the game. But I think that's something that they might be going towards. Has anyone heard about what's going on with the Pat McAfee show?
Yeah, I think he just got hired by ESPN, I believe.
Yeah. So he was one of those guys that got into YouTube when the COVID thing happened, and he just ballooned up, right? And do a lot of different things on YouTube that you can't really do on ESPN, but he supposedly will still have his YouTube channel. So they'll be doing like streaming on both.
That's pretty cool. Pretty cool for Pat. And it's funny because he was a punter and he didn't seem like he had a lot of personality when he played, but he's definitely showcasing that now on his YouTube channel, and kudos to him. That's a huge come up for him, that's for sure.
I actually haven't watched anything on ESPN since around 2007. I was watching the MLB show on ESPN, and they came out and go, Brett Favre's coming out of retirement, and went on this big old. I was like, this is the MLB show, guys. Give it a break. But then I noticed that they couldn't have a show without mentioning this, and that's when I decided it's like, you know what, I'm gonna stop watching ESPN because I'm not a big Brett Favre fan.
Yeah, I would say ESPN. I mean, I remember middle school and high school always watching ESPN. Obviously, the internet wasn't how it is today compared to what, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. But I used to always watch ESPN. But now if I'll just watch like Pardon the Interruption and Around the Horn on ESPN, but that's about it because you can just look on your phone now. So you don't even really have to watch ESPN. But, hey, congrats to Pat McAfee. I think one of the reasons his channel is so successful is because he was able to interview athletes, specifically like Aaron Rodgers. And I think that really helped elevate his channel. So he's doing good things out there for sure.
I actually heard a story from Pat McAfee, and this is an Adam Vinatieri kick to win a game in the playoffs. He was holding for him, and he's like, "This is what we do." I look back. I said, "You ready, buddy?" And he goes, "Yeah, buddy." And then he snaps the ball, he holds it, and he kicks it. But they're in the playoffs, so he's like, Pat McAfee goes, "Are you ready, buddy?" And Vinatieri didn't answer. He's like, "You ready, buddy?" He's like, then I look back, and he has this stone cold look on his face, like he's ice. So I was like, "Snap the ball." It's like, dang, it was one of those wow. I guess Adam Vinatieri is a different creature in the playoffs.
No, absolutely. One of the most successful kickers in the NFL. I forgot his last probably 4 years he played with the Colts, right? Vinatieri?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Pat McAfee, he's one of my favorite players, even though he's not a 49er. I'm a kicker. I like punters and kickers, and seeing him recover his own onside kick, I just, legend, right? I'll never see that happen again. But
hey, quick question.
Yeah.
What are you guys' thoughts on Robbie Gould? Him basically not returning to the Niners. He wants more money. Since Brian, you say you love kickers. What are your thoughts on that, man? Robbie Gould.
Well, I was pretty excited about it. I was hoping he was going to return. David can back me up down here. He'll tell you I'm a big Robbie Gould guy. I was joking all season. If he resigns, I got his jersey in my shopping cart, right? But it's always funny, I got a personalized jersey, so I don't really like wearing like new players because you don't know how long they're going to be on our team. So I got an old Steve Young jersey and stuff like that. Anyways, I was really excited about him, but there was this lingering thing about he may not come back, and I was like, no. So I almost every day looking on the page, on the web page and seeing, is there any news? At first it was like, we're gonna run it back, and I was like, that's what I was running with. I was telling, well, yeah, he's coming back, guys. Well, he hasn't signed yet, and then there was something about him saying that he's gonna want to try to go home, and I'm like, I don't know about this because I know he's been living in a hotel like his entire tenure with the Niners, and that gets rough. That really does, not being around your family. But you are a football player. You are making millions of dollars. I mean, at a certain point, you do have to kind of tell him, hey, Dad's providing for you better than really anything, right? And I'm sorry, it's the video, and I know but you can go home on Christmas and you can do certain things. So I mean, this is your career path, so I'm not going to give you an out on that. I'm a family man. I don't travel. I'm not a semi truck driver because, I want to be home every night. So I get it. But Robbie Gould supposedly was training Jake Moody. And I didn't hear this right away, but I started looking at the kickers and thinking, hey, man, if I do this YouTube channel, I might want to do a really cool kicker breakdown or something like that. So I started looking around, and then, David down here told me about Chad Ryland and a couple other kickers, and I was looking for kickers, and I got excited about Moody. They said dude could kick like 72 in practice, and yeah, he's got a little bit of a inconsistency, but that comes and goes. He did get benched because of his play. He's only played for like 2 years in the pros, but he's got a big leg, and he plays up there in Michigan where what kind of weather that is. So, and it's outdoors, it's not in the stadium. So I'm like, man, the wind swirling around my head. I'm thinking this guy might be fit for Santa Clara. So a couple months ago, I was like, Jake Moody. And I probably drove this guy down here, Moody, because of it, because I was saying it so much, And I threw it out there a couple times. I said, hey, what if they drafted him at 99? And again, it's kind of a joke. And everybody was like, no, right? So then I broke it down a couple times, and we went around it a little bit. And I talked to Ryan from No Border Sports, David, John Jay, a lot of good guys, right? And I was like, well, if they take him, he more than likely is going to be a starter. So I'm really excited about it. I know they brought in Zane Gonzalez. He's basically a free pick for us, basically just a trade. He's a camp leg at this point. He had a major injury last year, so I'm not really confident in him. But the Jake Moody thing, if you go and watch our draft on the Friday night stream, you can go. I can send you the timestamp, but you can see the reaction. I was doing my best Mel Kiper impersonation. I had my tie on, and when they said Jake Moody at 99, I was like, what? Are the Niners really listening? So shout out to the Niners. You're listening. Now, if he's not a good kicker, remember, if he's not a good kicker, I'm confident we'll just draft another one.
I mean, he was all-time leading scorer in Michigan's history, Jake Moody. He never missed an extra point in 5 seasons at Michigan. He also finished top 5 in kickoffs the last 2 seasons in college. What's good? How you doing out there, 49ers First Takes? Glad you could come join us tonight, man. And also shout out to Niner Sickness. You guys keep doing your thing on your YouTube channels. Keep putting out greatness. But Yeah, I mean, is it high for a kicker? Yeah. I mean, it's a third round pick, but like you said, Brian, he's going to start. If he wins, we all assume he's going to win the kicking job over Zane Gonzalez. So he's going to lead the team in points scored. And if he's legit, he's going to be the Niners kicker for the next 10, 12, maybe 15 years. So, I think once he starts making kicks during the regular season and when it really counts, I don't think there'll be any complaints.
All right, David. I know you want to get into this.
Well, when we first picked him, I was shocked. I was like, my first thought was this early, you know, and I was like, all right, we traded up and got Jair Brown, and I like that pick. We need a safety moving forward anyway. And then they picked Moody. I was shocked. I was like, huh, here's Dwan Jones and Blake Freeland still on the board. Like, what's going on here? And then, we have a pick at 101 or 102. No biggie. They'll take one of them. Then they took Cameron Latou. And I was like, wow, guess we're not worried about the offensive line.
Yeah.
But but we don't know the 49ers board either. They could have not been very high on DeJuan Jones and Blake Freeland. They could have been thinking, the guys we have right now are going to be better than them, that could be the thought. When it comes to right tackle, there's a lot of competition that's going to be going on over there. So that ought to get pretty interesting. McKivitz isn't the only guy that can play right tackle.
Right.
So, I was kind of, it took a minute to set in, that we just took Jake Moody, but then, kept watching the draft, and here are the Patriots trading up. What was it? 13 spots or what was something close to that? It was like 12 to 14 spots. They traded up and they took Chad Ryland. Right. So it was like, okay. So there's obviously some noise about teams looking at and taking kickers, at that point. And the Packers even took a kicker in the 6th round. So there must have been some noise going on, and the 49ers said, we're not high on the offensive lineman. We're gonna take our kicker right now. And if you think about it, we don't have to pay Robbie Gould $4 or $5 million. We have a kicker. That's the 99th pick overall. He's going to be cheap for 4 years. Yep. And the only thing I've been saying about it since is he better be good. I mean, what else can you say? Right. He's a 49er, so he better be good, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't really wear the name on the back. I might get a Moody jersey. I'm telling you the truth, but I gotta wear the name on the front. It's 49ers, so if the guy isn't good, let's get somebody in there that's gonna play and who's gonna score, right? So I'm just more or less tickled that they took him, and I get a kick out of his last name Moody, and a lot of the Niner fans have been Moody over it. So. But no,
yeah, because it's not a sexy pick, but as a few people have mentioned in the chat that, hey, he's going to be the leading scorer. He's going to start from day one. It's an immediate need for this team because clearly Robbie Gould, he wants to max out the most amount of money he can get. I mean, he doesn't have that many years left in the NFL, and the 49ers have other needs that we need to allocate that salary cap space to, and kicker just wasn't one of them. And you have one of the most prolific kickers coming out of college. We got like 3 third-round picks, like within 6 picks of each other. So, hey, might as well get a kicker. And as David said, the Patriots were interested in getting a kicker. And, hey, we had to strike while the iron was hot. We had to get our kicker, and we got him. So,
yeah, apparently there was some noise that they wanted to trade up, and the Niners didn't want to move off at 99. They moved. They traded their 101 pick, I believe, to get the safety. They stuck at 99 because we moved to 87. And then 102, we took the tight end, right? Latou.
Yep. Latou.
Then after the end, I mean, like undrafted free agents, they did take 2 tackles, I believe. So I mean, they're definitely looking at positions, but I think you said it too, Jay. They're confident with who they have on the team right now, and
Yeah.
we might not be, but they're seeing it in practice every day. So I'm gonna have to say the faithful thing. I'm just gonna trust the process.
Absolutely. And when you're drafting, you know, in the third round, do you really think drafting a tackle is going to beat out a Colton McKivitz who started multiple games already for the 49ers, who knows the system? And the 49ers, I think fans have to remember that you draft guys and they're not a finished product. You have to develop them. And we already have drafted guys in the last few years. Aaron Banks didn't even see the field his first year, and I thought he played very well his second year, starting pretty much every game, playing majority of the snaps. I know Brunskill might have come in for him, you know, a few snaps in every game, but you know, I project that Banks will be the starting left guard, you know, when the season starts, barring injury. And I think McKivitz, I agree with Niner Sickness. I think McKivitz, he'll be fine at right tackle. I know people want to have like an all-star or Pro Bowl caliber player at every position, but you can't do that when you're paying, you know, Trent Williams, you know, I think he's the highest paid left tackle in the NFL, you know, and you got Kittle, you got Juice, you got CMC, you're about to break off something proper to Bosa. Fred Warner is the highest paid. So it's like, you know, it's not, this isn't Madden. You can't just turn the salary cap off. Like there's going to be some positions where you're going to have to draft and develop. And I think the offensive line is one of them. You know, I thought Brendel played well. We re-signed him. We drafted Jason Poe. We drafted Spencer Burford played well last year. And I know Brunskill took some snaps from him, but the 49ers have drafted multiple guys along the offensive line. As you mentioned, Bryant, we picked up some UDFAs. So I think it's going to be a lot of competition along the offensive line, and there's probably going to be at least 10 to 12 guys in camp, maybe even more than that, since we're talking about the 90-man roster. There might even be more than 12 on the offensive line. But that's going to be a unit where there's going to be a lot of competition, and I think that brings out the best in players.
Burford's, you know, he was getting better as the season went, and he's gonna get better as he goes, you know. And we got a guy that we redshirted last year, Zakel. So, you know, and that's something that I'm actually interested to see is Zakel actually competing for that right tackle spot? Because he, you know, he's 6'6", he's 316, he's got long arms, and he's athletic.
Yeah.
So he really could be, you know, who they have penciled in over there, and it's not McKivitz. McKivitz could have been signed to be the backup swing tackle. I mean, we don't know. You know, we're not in the front, not 49ers front office. But there's a lot of competition when it comes to that offensive line, especially the right tackle spot. You know, you have McKivitz, you have Matt Pryor. I'm going to throw Zakel in there. You know, that Feliciano guy. He also comes in. Jalen Moore. You know, I mean, there's 5, could be 6, even 7 guys, including the UDFAs, that are going to be competing for that spot.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Feliciano, he's going to be one of those like missing pieces. I think he's going to be a utility knife. I think he could push for center. I really think that's a possibility, but we just got to see. My next question for both you guys, David and I know we talk a lot, so really, Jay, besides kicker, do you have any other player in our draft or undrafted free agents that you are excited about?
Absolutely. I think with our first pick, trading up to pick up Jair Brown, I think he fills a need for this team long term. I think everyone, I can't speak for everyone, but I was pleasantly surprised by Tayshaun Gibson and his productivity, especially with taking the ball away, getting interceptions. And I don't even think Tayshaun Gibson was on a roster, you know, before the start of camp. I think he was just a free agent, just waiting for a call, basically. So Tayshaun played great, but you know, I don't think he will be with this team long term. And no, Jair Brown, what does he do well? I mean, you know, he's first of all, he's going to be on a multi-year contract, so you can pair him and Huff for the next, at least 3 to 4 years. He may not contribute right away because Tayshaun Gibson is in front of him, but I'd be interested to see if the 49ers and Steve Wilks employ like a 3-safety look, maybe to have all 3 guys on the field, Gibson, Brown, and Huff. That would be interesting to see. But, in college, Jair Brown, when I watched his highlight tape, and I know it's just highlights, but he just jumped off the screen. He's very aggressive at the point of attack. He plays fast. He had 117 tackles, 10 interceptions in 2 seasons at Penn State. And they used him all around. They played him at safety. They played him in the slot corner. So, I think he's very good. Looking forward to what he can do. I think they could use him this year on special teams. The 49ers can. And then they can ease him into some defensive snaps. But, it's funny. I think the fan base has been wanting a safety so bad. Before we drafted Huff, I think we had been wanting to draft a safety, a young safety, a talented safety, one who could get better in the system. Credit to Jaquiski Tartt, Jimmy Ward. They played their roles well, but it's been a while since I think the last time before Huff, I think we drafted Tavarius Moore, I think in the 3rd round, like in 2018. But after that, we just hadn't really, I guess it just wasn't really a need for the 49ers, I guess. And it's good to see that we're finally addressing that need. And I'm excited to see what he can do when he's paired with Huff and possibly Gibson in a 3-safety look. But for me, I think that was the best pick. Is he a perfect player? No. But I think for me, that was the best pick in the draft.
Hey, David, let me ask Jay this question. I think we touched on it before. So with the new type of corners that we have and safeties that we have, and us knowing already that we have solid linebackers, and, with Jimmy Ward and Tartt leaving and, other guys that were really solid at tackling, do you see our team transitioning to more of a ball hawk style football team where we're trying to go for the takeaways and relying on our linebackers to do what they're really supposed to do? And maybe in the past where we had Ward and other players, they were really good at tackling, but they weren't as good as catching, or those takeaways. So do you see that was maybe their plan, or do you just, how would you look at that?
I think a secondary's best friend is an explosive pass rush. And when the pass rush is legit, when you have a Nick Bosa, when you have a Drake Jackson, when you have a Javon Hargrave, or Eric Armstead, it speeds up the process of the quarterback because they don't want to get hit. They're trying to get the ball out quickly. And I think that can definitely help the defense. And, it's funny, since Shanahan has been, at the helm, we haven't really been a ball hawking defense. Jimmy Ward, you could count on about 2 interceptions versus the Rams, but other than that, Jimmy Ward wasn't really a ball hawking type guy. So it's just crazy to see Huff explode for so many picks last year. Tayshaun Gibson explode, and I think that's partly because of the pass rush. Also, Huff is very instinctual player. Like he doesn't have a great 40 speed, but he just flashes when he's out there. Some people say he could be like a Troy Polamalu. I mean, Polamalu was a Hall of Fame player. I mean, I think that's that's giving him very, very high praise, but he kind of reminds me of him a little bit. But he's a hell of a player, and he takes chances, and I think that also contributes to getting interceptions. But also you have to be careful with that because sometimes you'll think you'll see something and you go attack, and what you thought you saw wasn't really there, and then you get beat over the top. And as a safety, that's the worst thing you could do is get beat over the top. You're the last line of defense. So it can come back to bite you. We saw that with Huff. We saw that with Huff last year. But I think we'll continue to get interceptions because we've got one of the best linebacking cores in the NFL with Fred and Dre Greenlaw. So I think we will continue. And also Steve Wilks, his specialty is in the secondary area, so he can only elevate our current corners and safety. So will Sammy Womack make that next step? I went to two training camp practices last year, and I saw number 26. He was always out there at the beginning of practice, and I was like, "Who is that?" And I saw Womack on the back of the jersey, and I was like, "Okay." So that kind of stood out to me. He's willing to put the work in, and now he has someone else that he needs to basically impress. And Sammy Womack, he could get that nickel spot. I know we brought in Isaiah Oliver. So obviously they'll be competing against each other, but I think with the addition of Wilkes, it would only help elevate and benefit every guy in the secondary because that's his skill set. That's what he's best at. So yes, to answer your question, we will continue to be a ball hawking defense for sure.
But we will start to maybe gradually become more of a ball hawking defense now with these players. And
absolutely,
I guess my fear would be not fear, but I would think now that we have these talented players, they're not going to be going necessarily as hard to try to tackle because they're going to be, we're going to be compensating with our linebackers, and these guys are more like Deion Sanders type. So, David, what would you think? And then I'm going to pass it to you so you can ask some questions.
I honestly think we're heading towards it because, our defense has been good, but turnovers has been something that we've been lacking until last year happened, and we have the, play in a 2021 NFC championship game where Tart, dropped the ball.
Don't remind me.
You get safeties that'll hold on to that ball, and that does change some things because that takes points off the board for them. Doesn't necessarily put points on the board for us. We don't know what would have happened, but it definitely would have took points off the board for them.
Yeah,
and if you're building a long-term dynasty, which is something I think they're trying to do, then you're gonna constantly want those to draft players like Jair Brown and Talanoga Hufanga, and you're always gonna want to have these guys coming in and playing well, and hopefully we're able to retain them past their rookie contract. Kind of depends on what happens with the salary cap situation and who sticks around and who doesn't. But Jay made a fantastic point. We have Steve Wilkes. He's a defensive backs coach originally, and I think he's going to do nothing but help our defensive backs. We also drafted a guy named Luter Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And his size. He's 6 foot. He's got long arms, and I'm looking at him like Emmanuel Mosley type of player,
2.0,
but bigger. So, and E-Man, oh, dude, he was a great corner. Now he's over with the Lions, poor guy. But having another guy come in like him, like Demo Lenore, he played pretty good down the stretch last year, but everyone's on notice right now, especially with Steve Wilkes. He brought in some guys from Carolina. All the guys we drafted, even Cameron Latu played linebacker his first 2 seasons in college. I honestly think a lot of that's to fix the special teams unit because, we got our defense we know is going to be rolling. We got our offense that was putting up 34 plus a game on average with Brock Purdy at quarterback. And, with Trey Lance and his ability to throw deep, that could be even better. And then, so we have 2 of our phases hitting on all cylinders. And it's time to get the 3rd phase hitting on all cylinders and make us the scariest team in the NFL.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So, David, do you got a hot take question for Jay? Because I'm gonna start going that way.
Ooh, hot take, huh? Oh, I actually don't have one right this second. Not a hot take because we've covered so many subjects. It's not. Oh, does Javon Kinlaw make the team?
Javon Kinlaw, I think he will make the team. I think I don't know off the top of my head, but it makes no sense to cut him. The 49ers won't save any money. But I think this is the signing of Javon Hargrave, I think helps Javon Kinlaw and the fact that he won't be relied on as a 3-down starter. He could come in the game in spurts and he can spell the starters. But if he's healthy, I don't see why he wouldn't. I mean, one thing I wanted to bring up is the 49ers lack of depth. We lost a lot of players in free agency last year. McGlinchey, Jimmy Ward, Samson, Robbie Gold, Jimmy G, Charles Omenwehu, Emmanuel Mosley, Brunskill, Ridgeway, Tyler Croft, Jordan Willis, Tavarius Moore. We lost a lot of guys that we knew what they brought to the table. Of course, we added some free agents, but we don't really know them. So I think it's going to take time for them to really develop and become players that we can depend on. Like we brought in a Cleveland Farrell from the Raiders, right? Obviously, he wasn't what the Raiders thought he would be. I think he was a first-round pick. I think the Raiders drafted him, but now he's with us. Maybe he could be like an Arden Key 2.0. We don't know, but we lost a lot of players, and I think the depth of the 49ers is something that hopefully continues to get better as the season progresses, because I think my last show I did was Straight Out of the Bay. We were talking about are the 49ers better now compared to what we were last year, and I think we were saying that we were better last year due to the depth. And I think that's lacking right now. We don't know what we have. We've got 90 guys, but we don't really know past the Pro Bowlers what we have. So I think that's a question mark going into camp. And I think that'll play out. But a guy who could be getting more snaps and also plays Javon Kinlaw's position is Khalil Davis. And, he was a 6th-round pick last year. He was recovering from the torn ACL. And John Lynch kind of described him in similar body stature to DJ Jones. And we all knew, what DJ Jones brought to the 49ers defensive line. So I think that could be a guy to watch in camp, Khalil Davis. Hope the best for Kinlaw. I believe his 5th-year option was declined by the Niners. No surprise. So most likely this will be his last year with the Niners. But, hey, I hope the best for Kinlaw. Hopefully he stays healthy. Hopefully he can just, be a run stuffer. We know that he's not really going to sack the quarterback, but be a run stuffer, take on double teams, and, put on the best film you can for this year. So that way you can get signed up by another team. But, I think Javon Kinlaw will make the roster. I think so.
Bryant, I got some bad news for you, buddy.
Okay.
The Lakers just lost 113 to 111.
It's all right.
I'm sorry. R.I.P. Lakers. R.I.P. Lakers.
I'm not the biggest basketball fan, Jay, but so I live closer to the Warriors. I don't like the Kings. I'm right below Sacramento. I do not like the Kings. I love the strength in numbers moment and stuff, but like when I started watching basketball, Kobe Bryant. My name's Bryant, so no bias there, right? But Kobe Bryant and Shaq were, 2000, 1999. That was the
dynamic duo.
That was the squad, right? Jeff Fisher down there, and so and then to top it off, right? My dad, he's from Indiana. All of his brothers are Boston fans, the Celtic fans. So he turns out to be a Raider fan and a Laker fan. Like all my uncles are Packer fans and Celtic fans. So it's like, okay, all right. And they like the Milwaukee Bucks, but he's like on his own boat, right? And in LA, the land of many lakes, right? No, that's Minnesota. That's where they came from. So it's like, how did they get there? And but since then, he didn't name me Bryant to do that. We didn't even know Kobe Bryant, but my dad's name's Brian. So I'm not a junior. He made sure that I'm not a junior. He put a T on the end of my name. And I love it. I really do. But my birthday's August 24th. So no bias. But
wow, 8/24. Nice.
Yeah. So, just trying to, I like numbers. I like seeing coincidences and stuff. And Kobe Bryant was born August 23rd.
Wow.
So one day before me, and I was like, wow. So yeah, my big dream was to meet him one day, and maybe that'll happen one day when I can meet him one day.
Right.
we'll all go. Hopefully, just keep doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I really think he was a great athlete. But no, I'm not the biggest Laker fan. I don't follow him during the year. I have a Lakers jacket given to me. I play around. I'll pull my Warriors shirt out that was given to me. Stuff that's given to me, so I'll be like, yeah, I'll wear that. I'm gonna go get paint on it, because I'm a painter. So like, if I don't have to get my my nice red shirt, and I can get something else that I'm not worried about dirty, then okay. But no, that's
But basically, that's firewood. That's firewood.
sorry, LA Lakers. Better get maybe better luck next year. But they won the
Absolutely.
championship, and it was that long ago, so they can live on that for a little while. But for us Niners, it's been like almost 30 years, 29 years, and I don't think you're much older than me, Jay. And I know David's not much older than me either. So I want to see a Super Bowl. And I don't care what it takes. I don't care how they do it. If they win off the kicker, like the Patriots can do it. Why can't we win with the kicker, right? So I just want a Super Bowl ring. And I don't care who the quarterback is. But, breaking news. I don't know if you guys had heard it earlier today. So it's not breaking, but it's current news. Josh Johnson is now a Raven.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yep. he keeps getting signed. He keeps getting them checks.
hey, props to him, still getting paid, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
I got a
Brian,
question
I'm 46
I got a question for you
years
guys.
old.
Just curious, what do you think, what will change? Like, obviously we've been close. We've been to one Super Bowl, been to two NFC championship games. So what can really change? What has to change for the 49ers to take that next step to win that trophy? And we have our parade down Market Street in the city. Like, what's going to change? Just curious. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, David.
The QB position has been our biggest weakness.
Yep.
And last year's NFC championship game, we were rolling in there. And, Brock Purdy got hurt on the second series, and that was our season right then and there. The second, Riddick hits his arm and yanks it back, our season was done.
It's over. Yep.
And now here we are, we're rolling into another season. And we have Trey Lance, who's training with, Mahomes, training with Christensen, the QB coach, which has greatly helped his mechanics. Now he's actually going to throw at tight end university with Josh Allen, and he's going to get some practice with George Kittle. Does that make them BFFs? I'm just wondering.
It means that Kittle doesn't hate Lance. That's what it means. Kittle does not hate Trey Lance.
That's actually been a narrative a lot of people have thrown out there too. It's like he's invited him into tight end university. He does obviously he thinks highly of him.
And he baked him the cake for his birthday.
And didn't George Kittle take Trey Lance to Las Vegas after his 21st birthday? The first year he was drafted by the 49ers, it was like just a couple days after he was going to Vegas with Kittle. So, I mean, like, for people to say that he don't like the guy, I don't see, just because he doesn't go to every basketball game with him. I mean, like, right. I don't know, like, I don't like the narrative either.
It's just for clicks.
Maybe George will show up with a Trey Lance shirt on this next season,
because he won't be wearing any more Jimmy G shirts. So,
All right, so we'll get out of here real quick. It's almost been an hour. We've told Jay, and we like to try to keep our shows to an hour, so you guys stay stay tuned and stay like, you don't want to go so long where people start running out of things to say. And we're not there. We're still having fun, but we want everybody to be able to enjoy their evening as well. And so, like that, Jimmy going to the Raiders, I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Seeing the preseason game, I think. Hopefully they let him play like the first series, and the Niners can maybe get a pick off of him. But my hot take, and I want to hear yours too. Let's just finish with the final thoughts. I'm going to say it first. My prediction for the 49ers season prediction record, better I don't think we're going to be worse. I think we could be better, but I think we're going to be 15-2 or better.
Woo.
And I think we're winning the West. I think we're getting the first round, and I think that's going to be. I think we're winning the Super Bowl. And call me Homer. I'd rather call you, have you call me Bryant, but I'm thinking 15-2.
Wow.
So
you are very optimistic.
I got us 14-3. I got us 14-3.
Woo. Man, I'm going with 12-5, and honestly, because we spoke about this on another show, I think it's possible we could lose Week 1 against Pittsburgh. Now I know no one thought we would lose against Chicago last year. I mean, we lost to Denver last year, Atlanta. Like, there were a lot of teams. There's always going to be teams where we should beat, blow out the water. We're more talented than on the schedule, but you never know. But I think if we're 15-2, 14-3, I think everything went right, and we didn't have a lot of injuries. And just a quick question, since we got the records, if Trey Lance starts, obviously we think he'll start the season. I think Brock Purdy will start on PUP, but we'll see what happens. If, let's say, through 6 games we're 4-2 or 5-1, do you think Trey Lance will get benched, and then Purdy will be inserted? And Trey Lance is playing well. Do you think there's any way?
No.
Yeah, I would say no.
No.
Only injury. If there's some underlying injury that they don't want to tell the reporters and stuff, like some kind of weird hairline fracture or something like that, or that's the only way I see. If you're rolling, you're rolling. And I think that's kind of like what happened with like Alex Smith, and not to continue the show, but like you had said, like, what's the one thing that we're missing? I think it's quarterback. And I think it's since like the Niners make a quarterback the face of their franchise, that's what we've been missing. They didn't really do it with Jimmy. They didn't really do it with Colin Kaepernick. They didn't do it with Alex Smith. Alex Smith got hurt with the Rams game, and then Kaepernick just took the team the rest of the way, right? But it's kind of hard to say that Alex wouldn't have gotten us that far, with him, the championship game the year prior. And, it's just like that team was that good with that defense. So those are my kind of vibes for this year, is our defense is that good. We're going to be able to carry the team. And again, not to continue to go, but like you brought up the Pittsburgh Steelers, very, very good chance we lose Pittsburgh. That's going to be in Pittsburgh, and that's Pittsburgh's first home game since like 2014. They usually win at home, but it's kind of funny that way. It's like, what do they lose Week 1 on the road? Do they come home after they've gotten some of the kinks out, and now their home crowd is pumping them up, and they got the terrible towels, and it's just the atmosphere. So I really do have a leery feeling about Pittsburgh. We did a breakdown of the schedule, and we all had fun with it. But Pittsburgh could be definitely going to lose.
Also, it's Trey Lance. It's Trey Lance. Basically, it's not his first game, but I mean, the guy hasn't played it in a year again. So it's like we're starting back to where we were last year. I don't see how he could have. His mechanics could get better, but he still needs snaps. Like, hopefully in the preseason he plays a half each game. That's what I want to see. Obviously, we don't want anything to happen for injuries, whatever. Shanahan, just don't like run him up the middle again. Don't let him run the ball or design runs in the preseason. But he needs snaps. I think part of the reason why Brock Purdy was so successful was the guy was like a 4-year starter. Like, he set all types of records at Iowa State. So it's like, it's almost like a second nature. The more you do something, the more comfortable you're with. And that's the main difference I saw. Purdy was comfortable. The moment wasn't too big. And Trey, it was like he was on training wheels, and Purdy was on a mountain bike. He was just, he was riding down the street. He didn't even have to have his hands on the bars on the bike. He was just chilling. He was cruising, and Trey was still on training wheels. So, that was a huge difference, but hopefully Trey gets tons of snaps in preseason.
I'm gonna give it to David here in a second. I don't want to keep you much longer, but I really do like talking to you. I really want to do this again sometime if it
absolutely
permits somehow in the future. But I've thrown it out there, and maybe this will get something going in your head on your next show or something like that. I like seeing preseason games. I think they can sell the preseason games cheaper than regular season games. Families that maybe can't afford a $200 ticket to go to the game, or $150, they can go to a preseason game, right? So if we have a bigger roster, we let players play longer on the, instead of these scrimmages against teams, and we're cutting, there was 5 preseason games when I was watching football in like '97.
Same here.
Okay, so now we're down to three, if we're lucky. So I would like to see them go back to 6. I know it's about the union and players healthy and stuff like that. But if you have 90 guys on the roster, why aren't these other guys getting to be on the team and play, even if the game doesn't matter? Why aren't they getting to be out there where we could have like Trey Lance out there for a few more minutes? And then, if the line looks really like crap, and he looks like he could get hurt, you yank him. But let's see these quarterbacks play a half, especially somebody like Trey who hasn't played a whole lot. So, David, let's hear what you got to say, and then I'm gonna drop my dad joke, and let's let everybody know where we can follow Jay and stuff. But let's go ahead and finish that here. And thank you everybody for coming. We really appreciate you. Again, we want to try to keep it to an hour. So, David.
I have some life advice, folks. Watch out for deer. This morning, the truck in front of me hit a deer. And I mean, they just ran out of the bush. The guy couldn't do anything about it. But then it hits the ground, and I can tell you right now, it was gone. That it was a hard hit. He was going 50 plus miles an hour. And I'm in my Camaro. I couldn't do anything but put the poor thing between my tires. And this afternoon, I'm at the car wash spraying off my transmission mount and my rear mount because, I scraped the poor thing.
Wow.
So watch out for deer, folks. And always drive safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
First thing I did was I actually pulled over to a Maverick and looked under to make sure I didn't yank out a wire harness or, something crazy happened. Right. But, what can you do?
Not to get too gross, but I've worked in mechanic shops and I've had to pull out animals, and it's not.
Uh-oh. I think we just lost Bryant.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe his connection will regain.
Yep. But yeah, he used to work at a body shop. I bet he sees some stuff.
Oh yeah, I bet he has stories to tell.
Yep. I've actually seen videos of people like, they pull up to the mechanic shop going, "There's a cat somewhere in my car," right?
Right.
Hey, here it comes. And then they've had to like take a tire off, take some inner fenders off, and they always get the cat out. But it's like, I'm luckily I haven't had that happen yet.
Yeah, luckily you're able to still talk about it, and your car is intact, and
my car's fine, nothing bad happened to it. Just had to wash some stuff off.
No, absolutely. Hey man, but I appreciate you guys having me on the show. Like Brian said, we should definitely do this again. Obviously we're ramping up we got camp coming up. There goes Brian. Camp's coming up soon, so we'll have a lot to talk about. I think players were at the facility today taking part in OTA, so we're ramping up, and I'm excited. I can't wait. Brian, you mentioned we should have more preseason games. Hopefully they have the Dwight Clark game at Levi Stadium this year. They didn't have it last year, but hopefully they have it this year, because I think it's like $5 a ticket. You could bring the whole family. You can sit wherever you want in the stadium. And hopefully, they'll have it at Levi's, and it'll be on August 7th, of course, for Dwight Clark. But yeah, I love going to the stadium, especially that day. You can get in. It's cheap, and you sit wherever you want, and you just enjoy watching the players, perfect their craft. So that's what it's all about.
Sorry about that, guys. I had a little technical difficulty. Appreciate you guys on the show. I can see you, but I couldn't do anything. So that's probably a good reason to head out to the family and go give everybody their love. And again, we want to show you guys the love in the chat. Appreciate you all coming. Please go check out Jay intheBay. If you're not subscribed, you're hearing it from me. Please go subscribe. The guy does great work. He's got a good panel. All the guys on his panel have great shows. They've been doing it for a while, so they got some of the bugs and the kinks worked out. But we appreciate you sticking around with some of our kinks and stuff. But David and me both got channels. Please go and check us out. Keep coming back. I've been saying it for a while. There's like 40 days of dead period, probably like 37 or 38, or if we're not there yet, right? but there's not going to be dead period here. We're going to keep trying to do something fun and talk 49er football. So here's my dad joke. Thanks for sticking around. Again, sometimes they're a little funny. Sometimes they're a little clever. So I'm actually going to get me a bowl of ice cream, and I'm going to tell my daughter this as well. How do you teach kids about taxes? Eat 30% of their ice cream.
Yeah.
That's
pretty
good. That's good.
Shout out to all the dads, all the faithful, all the people out there. We appreciate you. We appreciate you guys coming, and just really do. Thank you again, David, Jay in the Bay. Hopefully, you guys will see you again.
Peace.
Go Niners and F the Lambs.
Go Niners.